Know about the Lakers deal with the Indiana Pacers for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and will that ever sort of materialize, right? Right now, it's currently not both first-round picks, and the Lakers are doing everything they can to find a better deal, and they are supposed to be ramping up trade discussions once the season begins, which is tomorrow. So I do imagine we're going to hear a lot of like trade rumors and speculations the coming weeks, especially if things aren't really going too well for the Lakers. I could see the Lakers really trying to do a deal. Now, is it the Indiana Pacers deal or is it another deal? It's yet to be seen. But also Jae Crowder is a player that is very likely on the move, whether the Phoenix Suns end up buying him out or they end up finally finding a trade. Currently, there doesn't seem to be any trade market for Jae Crowder. Nobody seems trying to, make the acquisition. And the Phoenix Suns want a first-round pick and things like that for him. I don't see them getting anything close to what they want for Jae Crowder. And then it's like, what do you do? Do you just release him or do you, try to bring him back, I guess? But I think the relationship is already spoiled and I don't see that happening. But there was a 3-team deal that I saw and I wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on it because I thought it was a very interesting 3-team deal. Now, this comes from the Suns. This comes from the Suns, insiders or whatever that were talking about a potential 3-team trade between the Lakers, the Suns, and the Indiana Pacers. And so the deal looks like this. The Lakers would get Miles Turner, Jae Crowder, Torrey Craig. Phoenix Suns would get Buddy Hield and Chris Dort. And then the Indiana Pacers would get Russell Westbrook, Landry Shamet, Los Angeles Lakers 2027 unprotected first-round pick, top 5 protected 2029 first. And that's what the Pacers would receive in the deal for this. Now, we're going to dive into this, but before somebody's like, no way, this, that, and the other, or however you feel about this, again, this wasn't a Laker trade idea. This didn't come from Lakers side. This came from the Phoenix Suns side. So if anyone's like, why would Phoenix do this deal? This is a proposed deal from a Phoenix side. So again, diving into it, Indiana Pacers deal is the easiest, right? It makes the most sense, right? Because it's an embrace the tank, right? That's what this is. Basically, you got Halliburton, a couple young guys, and you're just full-fledged going after Victor Wembanyama. You're getting some assets, you're getting some pieces. Maybe you can even, try to acquire a first or something from the Phoenix Suns because they are getting Dort, guys like that. So I do imagine that there would be probably some other pieces to this. I think Phoenix is going to have to give up a little more. Again, this came from a Phoenix source, so that's kind of why it makes sense that the Phoenix Suns aren't really giving up any picks in this deal. But I think you're getting a young player as well as you're getting a sharpshooter to add to Chris Paul. I think that you got to give up something, especially for a Jae Crowder. I don't see you getting that deal. But from the Indiana Pacers side, I know a lot of people would really hate to see, Chris Dort end up going and leaving. But again, if you have the chance to get Victor Wembanyama, you would trade Dort 10 times out of 10. You would do that. If you had to get rid of him to go basically guarantee, Victor Wembanyama, although it's not really guaranteed, but give you the best odds and chances, you got to do that. They want to move off of Buddy Hield and Miles Turner already. You get some assets, you get a little bit of everything, and problem solved. The Indiana Pacers side is really easy for this. You're just full-fledged tank mode. You're hoping you get Victor or even Scoot. Even if you get Scoot, to have Scoot and Halliburton on the same team, you're in a great position, right? And so if you can get Victor, then that's even better. Now, next up is the actual Phoenix Suns side, right? They get a nice, young, versatile player to kind of add to their already young, versatile team. And it makes a lot of sense. Again, they would have to give up something else, right? You're not going to be able to get a young talent as well as a sharpshooter for just Jae Crowder. So I do think that they would likely have to give up a first-round pick at least, which means 3 firsts would be going to the Indiana Pacers in this deal, which I think is pretty solid. You're giving up Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and Dort for 3 firsts, and as well as an actual chance to get Victor, which I think has some real value in and of itself, right? Especially if you get him. Look, if you end up getting him, then that solves everything, right? I mean, that you can justify any trade if you get him, right? Because now you have the argument of like, hey, yeah, maybe this wasn't the best trade to do, but guess what? Guess what we did? We got Victor. We got the grand prize. But when it comes to Chris, you got a 25-year-old, 6'5" guard that could, play multiple positions and really help this team. So I think if you're Phoenix, you would absolutely love to take him on. You'd absolutely love to get a player like him, young asset, long, lengthy. Again, play multiple positions, put him next to Cam Johnson and, Bridges, Mikal Bridges, and you just got like a really long, young team. He likely would come off the bench because you got Chris Paul and you got, Devin Booker. But beyond that, still a really quality asset. And then getting Buddy Hield, if you compare Buddy Hield with Chris Paul, doing something right? To have him be able to come in off the bench with Devin Booker, I think would be huge for them. You get that sharpshooter, that deadeye. Now, I have talked about, in the past that Buddy Hield, the problem that you get is that if he isn't shooting lights out, he's kind of unplayable. And from a Lakers standpoint, because some people might be thinking like, oh no, like I'd rather have Buddy Hield. I want Buddy Hield just for his shooting. One, Buddy Hield isn't going to solve your three-point shooting on its own unless he's shooting 48% from three. Two, the Lakers, we don't know if they're going to be good enough to mask Buddy Hield's flaws, but the Phoenix Suns very likely will be, and so they can kind of get away with Buddy Hield's flaws more so than the Lakers. Like the Lakers kind of can't, they can't run the risk of Buddy Hield. Yeah, he gives 15, but he's giving up 20. Like now you're a negative. Where the Phoenix Suns, you have so much youth and you have a lot of wing, solid length guys that can really make up for the lack of defense that Buddy Hield brings you. So I think that this would make a lot more sense for the Phoenix Suns and something that'd be really solid. You get two really versatile guards, get some extra shooting, things like that. Again, to pair with Chris Paul, add Buddy Hield. I mean, Buddy Hield he'd be in a dream, to be able to get the ball in your spot every single time and just be able to be a catch and shoot 3-point guy. Like, it doesn't get any better than having Chris Paul, the point guard, the general, just basically leading the charge. Now, from the Lakers side, you're getting two quality wing depth players, which is huge. I mean, Jae Crowder, the big question would be, would LeBron James sign off on Jae Crowder? Because if he wouldn't, then you probably have to work this out. You probably got to figure out a way to maybe interchange things. I don't know. You gotta that would be a big concern. But I do think he would, because this team really could use some wing depth. This trade, I like this overall trade better than just the Indiana Pacers trade because it solves all of our problems, right? You get some wing depth. You get basically two wings that can play multiple positions. You get Jae Crowder, who can play the 3 or the 4, but you also get Torrey Craig, who is still young enough at 31, 6'7" size, long 3-and-D type guy. He's a guy that can really get hot, knock down the 3 ball. Jae Crowder isn't really the best 3-point shooter there is, but still, he is a guy that is still a quality 3-point shooter. I would rather have these two than Buddy Hield. And you're still, beyond getting the wing depth and solving that issue, which is arguably the biggest need. Because, yeah, the Lakers, they could really use 3-point shooting, but even like the bubble team, right? The bubble team, they shot 34% from 3, just under 35%, right? So let's call it 35%. They shot 35% from 3, but they had an elite defense. They were number 1 in defense, in total defense, overall defense. And so if they could get back to that, you would have enough shooting to where you'd be respectable and you'd be solid, and this just gives you more depth. It's a solid move if you're the Lakers. If you're the Lakers and you could get Torrey Craig and Jae Crowder, you're sitting in a pretty good position. You got two guys that can play the small forward or play the power forward for you. On top of that, you still have JTA, so you actually now have basically depth at every position. No, because now you got multiple bigs that can play multiple positions. You got multiple wings that can play multiple positions. You got a bevy of guards. Like, this would be a really good team. And then you still get Miles Turner, right? So you're getting Miles Turner. And the beauty is, all of these guys, like, you still save your cap flexibility for next season. So if it works, like, let's say this does work and the Lakers end up winning a championship, right? Well, then you can just re-sign everybody. You're in a good spot. But If it doesn't work, you can kind of just let everyone go, and now you still got all the cap space and can go try to get a Kyrie Irving or something like that. Or if Kyrie really wants to come, you can kind of just let everyone go. Even if you did win, keep Kyrie, and there you go. However you slice it. I don't necessarily bank on Kyrie coming. I mean, I would love for Kyrie to come, don't get me wrong, but I don't think Kyrie's just too sporadic. He's too, you never know what he's going to do. You never know what his thought process is. 1 minute he's all in, the next minute he's not. So, and who knows, like if the Nets are really good this year and they look like a contender and, Kyrie's playing and all that stuff, who knows if the Nets actually extend him. My thing is like, if you have a real deal on the table that makes you better, I think you got to do it. Now, personally, I still don't like giving up both first for this, but I do think that this trade is the trade that makes you closest to a contender. I really do. I mean, outside of like, you trade for Kyrie or something. But I think you essentially solve all of your issues with this trade. The biggest issues and the biggest holes the Lakers currently have are three-point shooting and wing depth, right? They don't have any sizable wings. Well, this would solve that. You get 2 sizable wings, and you get a big 3-and-D type center, right? So now Anthony Davis can play center full time. And if you wanted to, you don't have Russ. Like if it is, say, like a game 7 of the NBA Finals or something, you could have LeBron play point guard, have like LeBron play point guard, have like Torrey Craig, Jae Crowder, Anthony Davis, and Miles Turner. Like that's a really good defensive and shooting lineup. Everybody on the court can shoot the 3 ball. Everybody on the court can play defense. You got a lot of size. Like your smallest guy on the court would be what? Jae Crowder, right? Or I guess Jae Crowder and Torrey Craig, because they're both like 6'7"-ish. So you basically got 2 guys like on the roster, and they could guard, the shooting guards and stuff like that of the NBA. So I think that would be a huge move for the Lakers. I think that this gives you the much needed added depth. I think this solves both holes that you have. Torrey Craig is a solid 3-point shooter. He's a guy that can definitely knock down some shots. Even last year he shot around 45% from the field in total. So he's a guy that is very efficient, very effective, 3-and-D, got some size, got some length. All of the things that you need. He's not like he's kind of in a vacuum type 3-point shooter. He's either really on or he's really off. No, it's kind of like in between. But again, like I don't think the Lakers need to be elite from the 3-point line. I don't think they have to shoot 50% from 3 to win games if they have these guys, because you got multiple guys that can guard multiple positions. You could be a very solid defense. I think you realistically, with this lineup of, say you have, for the starters, say you have like Patrick Beverly, LeBron James, Torrey Craig, and, Anthony Davis and Miles Turner. That's a really good, versatile lineup. You got some defenders, you got some hustle, you got a little bit of everything, right? And then, you could have them, all of them can switch and alternate, positions and on defense and offense. So it just gives you an elite defense, but you still have guys like Jae Crowder and, you'd still have JTA and you'd still have Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones. Like you just have so much depth at this point at every position. I think overall, you can make an argument that this might be the best roster or one of the best rosters in the league. I still think the Clippers are really deep. I still think, the Warriors are the Warriors. I think that, a team like the Brooklyn Nets are still really good, but I don't even think they could stop anybody. And I just think the Lakers would match up great. I think they'd have a size advantage against most teams because outside of the Timberwolves, nobody has 2 bigs to that degree. And the only thing that I think would be standing in this team's way at this point would be just injuries, right? Because Miles Turner and Anthony Davis are still both very injury prone. That doesn't get solved. Like my biggest gripe with the Indiana Pacers deal is that you have so many unknowns with Miles Turner. And not only do you have so many unknowns with Miles Turner, just from like an injury standpoint, can he stay healthy, to him wanting 20 plus million. And if you don't give it to him, he could just walk and you lose him for nothing. But the problem is you still have Buddy Hield. Like my biggest gripe is the Buddy Hield element, because one, I don't think he saves the day. I don't think he gives you defense. He solves some of the issue in three-point shooting, but he doesn't solve your wing defense. And I think that that's a problem. And then Miles Turner, like, he doesn't solve that wing defense. Like, yeah, you're better from three, but you still have a lot of the same holes. And if Miles Turner just walks, you're screwed. You're stuck with the roster of Buddy Hield, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and that's it. You have no other flexibility, no assets, no nothing. At least this way, you can justify paying Miles Turner and because you got all these wins. Or if you want, you could just let everybody walk and then kind of restart, next season. It gives you the flexibility because you don't have Buddy Hield's long-term salary, which isn't like long-term. It's only 2 more seasons, but still, it ruins all your flexibility. So if this works, this is great. You also get an extra body. You also fill all your needs, and you're probably one of the best defensive teams in the league, so you're probably a legit contender. And if everyone can stay healthy, great. If it doesn't work out, you just let everyone go and you start from scratch. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. What are your thoughts and opinions on this trade? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Again, not saying this trade is going to happen. I'm not saying that there's anything in the works. I just saw this and was like, hey, this is actually pretty interesting. I kind of like this. And I just wanted to get your perspective on it. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below.